2:30. We made it up to the Loves. I think it's Benson, Arizona. Yeah. We're at the Loves in Benson. We got 140 miles. I'm not sure what they call this one. I think it's Chandler. So I'm gonna stop by there because I'm gonna try to get in earlier than they would probably want me to sit down on that road. I had more issues yesterday. Everything was running great. Fueled up at that Petro and Dimming, or halfway fueled up, and then truck was running good. Everything was doing fine. Made it up to my only detour on I-10, which was at the Lordsburg, like the exit where the Flying J and the Loves are. All I had to do was take the exit and then get right back on the interstate, just to like avoid that overpass. They were doing work on the bridge, so I was going from 4 to 5 because that's when I first flipped the splitter, or the range selector. So my range selector didn't switch immediately once I came out of gear. Normally, you can flip the range selector, and then as soon as you come out of gear, that thing automatically goes into the high or the low range, whichever one you put it in. And you can hear it. I mean, you can hear it do its thing. Well, it didn't do that, and I looked down to see like what was going on. And when I looked down, I looked at my ELD because it's like right there next to my hand. My ELD's all black. Truck's still doing truck's running. Lights all. I mean, I'm not really paying attention to my lights, but everything seemed just completely normal. So it wasn't like what happened the first time. The first time it happened when I was driving. It's not like the whole truck shut off and I had no power steering or anything. I don't know if the splitter was, but the range selector was definitely acting weird. And then, so when I went to rev it up, I noticed my throttle pedal was also non-responsive. And then it would just like kick in and be responsive, then it was non-responsive. Like, it was like I had no throttle and then I'd have a throttle again. So thankfully, about that time is when I was coming into to merge back into the interstate, and there's a weigh station right past that exit. And it was closed, so I didn't need to go in there, but I just went ahead and pulled in just to check on things, see what's going on. I mean, the truck stayed running the whole time, which I was pretty happy about. And then, so I get stopped, and the range selector's all working. I'm revving it up, and throttle's all work. Everything on the truck seems good again, except my ELD's still black, or just nothing's nothing's going on with the ELD. It hasn't tried to reset itself and fire back up again. I'm thinking I just need to turn the key off and then turn it back on, and the ELD will come back on. So truck's running perfect, everything's normal. Shut the key off, immediately turn it back into the on position, and it's just like I was up in the Maple Hill Travel Plaza again, with no ignition at all. It's like the whole thing is just dead. I don't know why the truck would be running like that, and then once you shut it off, it's just nothing happens there. Because that's a lot different than what happened whenever I was driving coming out of Tucumcari yesterday morning, when everything just shut down. It didn't matter. It just didn't care that the truck was running. Didn't care we were, climbing hills or what we were doing. It was just everything shut down in the road. Just got to get this load off. I'm not putting another load on the trailer until this is fixed. I think we're just gonna do any wire that touches the ECM power or ignition circuit at all is just getting fully replaced. Like, not messing with connectors, just replace the entire wire. And I'd prefer just not to have any connectors anywhere, just continuous wires all the way down until you got to get to like a terminal or endpoint. Then you got to use a connector at some point. But yeah, this is not a problem I can manage long term. I can handle the marker lots just intermittent, like randomly messing up, because it's not really a big deal. I'd like them to mess up at the right time so I can get them fixed, but they hadn't cooperated. But the ECM, I'm not. This is just getting fixed. So I'm hoping it doesn't need to get fixed before I get up to Mesa, Arizona. I'm 140 miles away from the Loves there, and then it's I-10 to the 202 all the way out to local delivery. Yeah, we did make it a good ways past the way station though. Oh, another thing that came up, I couldn't find my IFTA registration. When you come through the Arizona scale house, they ask for registration, IFTA, and if you're on an oversized, they ask for your permits. So she asked for those three things. I keep everything organized in here to where like the most important stuff is just on top, so I can just grab stuff real quick. I think when I went through that New Mexico scale house, I think she might have kept my IFTA. I mean, thankfully I had a backup. The real important stuff I keep a second copy of. So the important stuff I keep second copies of down here, and then the less important stuff is underneath it too. So stuff that I would randomly need, but not too often. Thankfully I had a second copy of my IFTA registration, but then I didn't even need it. I asked the lady at the Arizona scale house, I gave her the permit, I gave her the registration, and I was looking through this thing and I was like, hey, does my IFTA happen to be in behind, because I keep them in these little clear sheets. I was like, is my IFTA behind the truck registration? And she just looked at me and she said, do you have any questions about your permit? I said, no. She said, all right, have a good day. I was like, all right, let's get the heck out of here. Because at that point, I didn't know, I knew I had a second copy of the IFTA, but whenever you can't find your IFTA and that DOT officer's asking for your IFTA, that's not a very good feeling. I just pulled off, after she let me go, I just pulled off there and I got the backup copy. All right, we're about to go check on things and get ready to head over. Yeah, so there's, I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, it's gonna be hard to see because there's dirt all over it, but that's where I skinned the top of that tire off right there. Yeah, you can't really see it, but I can see it. So this one, there's like a hotel, and then the Love's building over there doesn't look like a Love's. Looks like somebody else built it. So, but yeah, she kind of started to take her clothes off yesterday. She's starting to expose herself a little bit, but I think it'll be fine. It doesn't look too bad.
Proceed to West Whetstone Commerce Drive, then take the first right.
So I think there's like 3 different ways to exit this truck stop.
Turn left onto West Whetstone Commerce Drive, then turn right onto State Route 90.
So this has an exit, then there's one back on the back side. And then there's one on the other side of the fuel islands. I don't know what this thing is in the road. Somebody's bumper, or I mean somebody's mud flap. Hopefully it doesn't, it's got that bracket on there, hopefully it doesn't pop a tire.
Turn left.
So there's the police up there. They're not even on our on-ramp. They're up on the interstate. Oh, I wonder if they
At
have...
the light, use the left 2 lanes to merge onto I-10 West.
There's a lot of people taking this exit. I wonder if they have the interstate just shut down completely and not just one lane shut down. It's kind of what it looked like. Coming off the ECM and just start moving those around all different ways, and then the wires that had those like inline fuses around the starter, just moved all them wires around. It didn't do anything. So the wires that I was grabbing in the battery box, I went around to the back under the truck on the back side of the battery box and just that whole bundle of wires and move those around in a bunch of different ways. And they're all, I mean, you can't see that the wires aren't exposed. They're all in conduit and stuff, so. But I just grabbed the whole group of them, all the battery cables and everything. And after that, it actually fired up. About 60 miles away from this Love's up here in Chandler. We made it through Tucson, no issues. So I'm assuming it's a crane appointment. My window is like 8 to 10 a.m. And that's why I've been pushing to get there. It's not good to be late on crane appointments. If you've never paid for a crane, most people haven't paid for a crane. They're pretty expensive. Like, they don't operate for cheap. Last wind project I did, or last time I was on a wind, like helping with a wind project, I was hauling a blade gripper with a G, and that's just a piece they use to, they attach it to the blades to like pull them up to the top of the tower, put them on the cell or the hub, whatever, and take them back off. So I was out there, and this crane had, so they had the crane, and they only had one guy on the crane, but he had 3 other trucks with him. There was probably 8 people total there, and I was the only truck. I mean, I'm assuming they were getting set up for like a bigger, like I was probably the first one in, you know. I mean, they had to get the piece from me before they could get any other work done, so. Well, they told me I was like going to be the only truck there that day. And so I was set up. I was set up at a staging area. They told me not to, make sure when you come in, don't run over any of the beans. I'm guessing they were soybeans on a soybean farm. And so I get out there, and I'm trying not to run over any of the beans. Well, so I get pulled off onto this side road. Like, I'm gonna have to back all the way down to the pad. Like, I just can't, there's no room. Like, a buddy of mine used to do a bunch of wind projects. He would haul blades and he hauled all different kinds of stuff for him. But after they get the blades in there and everything assembled, they don't keep those sites set up for trucks. The farmers grow crops up all around there. So that's how it was when I was coming in. This was like a repair job they were doing, or it didn't seem like they were scrapping them and just replacing everything. It seemed like it was probably just one of the blades needed to come down or something, or they needed to do some work on it. But anyways, I get pulled up, hadn't hit any beans yet, and I'm ready to back in, and I hadn't even got to see the site yet, because like whenever I pulled in there, like it's all blind to me. I pulled up, they directed me where to pull up so that I could get set up to back in. And so I'm probably a quarter mile away from where I'm actually going to be coming down to the pad. I'll have to back in on this whole way down there. So they give me the thumbs up. They're like, go ahead and bring it back in. And I start backing in. Well, right before you get to the pad, there's a 90-degree turn in the bean formation. Like, and I got beans on both sides of me. And I just stop and park the truck right there. Everybody's waiting on me. They're just waiting on me to come around the corner. And I go talk to the guy. I'm like, there's no way I can make this. Some of these beans are gonna have to go. Like, I'm gonna have to run over some beans. It's either gonna be my steers from the truck on the other side, or my trailer is gonna take out the beans over here. And the guy was just like, he told me, he said, just run over whatever beans you need to, just get it back here. So I ran over a whole lot of beans that day, and there was no way around it. And surprisingly, I think they were soybeans, but surprisingly they put up quite a bit of a fight. Like beans, whenever you're backing through a field of fully grown soybeans, that adds a lot of resistance. Like my truck was it was fighting to push through this field of grown up soybeans. And I ended up getting back there, and everything went fine. But yeah, you really don't want to be late on the cranes, because the cranes are getting paid so much. And if, like, let's say you want to get all these picks done, and you're assuming that the place they don't have a crane, they don't have the ability to offload the stuff, so they had to hire a crane company to come in. Well, that crane company, as much money as you're paying them, they could be making that same amount of money at another job site somewhere else. And if you hold them up and prevent them from doing that, well, you gotta pay that bill. So, and I didn't look at this contract specifically, or my rate con, but some of them will have a pretty large penalty if you're late on a crane appointment. I don't want to be late. I want to get there and get it done. And I'll be in a lot better mood once this thing is off and I'm empty and out of there. I'll be real happy. We'll drive straight to the cat shop.
You have 2 hours and 37 minutes of remaining drive time.
Oh, and my exemption, or exceptions is what it's called, it stays on. So once you click that box for 30-minute break exception or exemption, like this morning when I got up and I checked my hours, it said I had 11 hours available for driving, and I've already turned it off, but it still hasn't, it's still not even registering that I have an 8-hour clock.